And we got a couple more minutes. Do you
Right,
see my
yes.
screen? Do you see my screen with the slides? Yes.
Yep. I've seen it. Mhm.
And once we kick it off, Denise is learning how to use Zoom. She's just coming on board with that kind of stuff. Let me drop down here for a second. And
This is Lee Miles. Can you see me there?
yeah, just a second. I'm busy setting something up here, so.
Not a problem.
So, Wachati,
Got a couple more minutes.
you hear me?
Yes.
See my screen?
Wachati, so,
with the slides?
I have a client that came down to Trinidad recently, and we were chatting. You know, he was stationed in Panama, and he was telling me how bad it was over there at one point.
Can you repeat that again? I didn't copy it clearly.
Yeah, I have a client in Trinidad. They just recently came here. They were posted in this is on a different client, right? Beside cruises, and he was stationed in Panama. And we were chatting last week, and he was telling me how bad it was over there. At one point, you know, was it earlier this year, late last year? How it was really bad.
See, we had a big spike late last year and early this year.
Yeah.
It's been under control. I would say that probably the main situation in Panama right now is that the vaccine is rolling out very, very slow.
Oh yeah.
And once they kind of open some of they started lifting the penalty, the lockdowns. Everybody went on party mode, so it was kind of spikes going up and down.
Yeah.
Well, we're recording to YouTube, so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So let's. I'm going to start the webinar and let's start letting people in, and that will start the recording. And then I'll start doing the intro slides, and I'll introduce you. And I see people coming in. I see Bruce and John Cometti, along with our panelists.
John.
I don't. Can you see me, Lee Miles?
I can't see you, Lee. We can hear you.
I wonder what on earth I have to do to get to where you can see me.
Turn the camera on.
Always good answering that one.
I don't see where it's offering me. Ah, there we go. Okay.
There we see you, Lee. There we see you.
Oh, you gotta get some light. It's kind of dark in the office.
Will do.
Okay.
That may not be enough. We'll see.
Oh, right. I'm seeing Lee now on video, on camera.
We'll wait until 6 o'clock and then I will start the slides. And Jesse, you'll be first, and then we'll go to Panama and then Colombia, and I'll see if there's Denise. I want to make her a panelist. Denise, I just made you a panelist. You should be coming in as a panelist. There you are, Denise. Do you want to unmute, Denise? You're muted. Go look at the lower left side and click on the, there you go.
It's done. Yeah.
Denise, welcome aboard. Denise is from Lupron. And I'm going to start this in just a moment.
Hi, Denise.
Hi there. Hi there. It's the first time I've used Zoom, so you'll have to bear with me. And it's also on an iPhone and on a boat with a signal that's a bit on and off.
Okay, Denise, because of that, I will let you go first for
Yeah, that's fine.
reporting, and then we'll go to Jesse and Trinidad. But I'm going to start the slide presentation, and then we're recording live to YouTube, and we're recording also to storage so we can replay it and set it up for other people to watch afterwards.
Superb. Okay,
Okay.
can I
Just
go
wait.
ahead?
No, just wait for a moment. This is Seven Seas Cruising Association.
Okay,
And this is Joan Conover. We're presenting our Caribbean for cruisers staying in the islands. I'd like to announce a new feature for predictwind.com, the world leader in weather forecasting. They actually are now doing local knowledge, so they'll be able to add more pieces for different places on their offshore app. They do weather routing, forecasting, tracking information on the app, and this new feature will be very interesting. I want to thank our sponsors, Nauticad. Nauticad has made it possible for us to have our recorded webinars and sign up for you with SSCA. It's free courses, and members get 2 free trial courses. You can actually get certificates through Nauticad. What we will cover tonight: an introduction, our Caribbean cruising hosts. We'll do a country update by each host, entry information, COVID rules, local cruiser locations, maybe numbers, weather and seasonal considerations, because we are going into the weather season, and maybe some thoughts on provisioning marinas and support. Question and answers, we will ask that to be at the end of the presentation, at the end of the discussions and comments. And with that, I'm going to introduce Denise Simpson. She's in Lupron. She's on a iPad, cell phone. I'm not sure what she's on. And she will talk about Lupron, Dominican Republic, and something about what's going on there. I will mute myself so I don't make any noise inadvertently.
hi there to everybody. Thanks a lot for that, Joan. Okay, Lupron, Dominican Republic. We're quite full at the moment. A lot of boats have come in due to all the insurances and the COVID situation for traveling down south. So we have quite a few boats in here at the moment. We're not sure if they're going to still try and run down south, but hopefully they stay with us, because I think it's the first year it's been really, really good in Lupron for a long time. Anyhow, entry is very, very simple into Lupron. No COVID tests are required as yet. So you can just, there's no online check-in. It's just a case of arriving in Lupron or Saminar or wherever, hoisting up the Q flag, calling the Commandante on 16 or 68. They come out to see you, and then they will get you to fill out forms, questionnaires about COVID. And if they find there's a risk, they will do a free medical test on you. And apart from that, it's very, very easy. It's the same with tourism for flying in. The tourists are finding it very easy to come in. It's just the way DR is. So, yeah, COVID entry, no problem. Okay, my number I haven't got right now. Perhaps Joan has my phone number. I can't think of it off my head, but I am the person to contact. You can email me as well on Dennis, DENIS, and then WITHANE 61 at gmail.com. That's Dennis with an E, 61 at gmail.com. And also find me all over Facebook. on the Dominican Republic and Lupron Facebook groups. You'll see our adverts up there often. So I created those groups and admin them along with another team of people. Michael being my partner, who is the co-host for Lupron Dominican Republic, and then friends as well who are involved in the marine sailing world on this side. Okay, regarding weather, we have Bruce Van Sant, who's a personal friend of ours, who has written all the books, as everyone knows, The Thornless Path and things like that. I think Margarita Cat for a bit of humor. And we suggest highly that you buy Bruce's book online at amazon.com. I think there's a Kindle or else there's the book version. But here's the best. If you follow it, it's like a Bible. If you follow it, you're going to have a thornless path trip down to DR and reverse it around, and it's good for going back out. So weather-wise, it's definitely Bruce. Lupron is considered one of the best hurricanes holes in the world. A lot of people have commented on that. I know that the likes of Chris Parker has made comments about it. Have 7 mountain ranges in the Dominican Republic that the bad weather must cross over to get to Lupron. And by then it's usually going to be at a tropical storm level of that. So it's a very safe mud-based with mud banks and mangroves. And yeah, it's a very safe spot for hurricane season. We're feeling very happy in here. And sorry, could Joan, what was the last point that I need to speak on?
Well, what I was going to suggest, I will post your contact information with the recording, and also tell everyone to look at the Caribbean Compass for this month, the month of June, for the article on the Dominican Republic that Denise wrote. So she's got several pages and pictures, so it will give you a good information on that area. Thank you, Denise, and I'm going to turn it over to Jesse James in Trinidad. Jesse?
Thank you, Joan.
Hi, Joan, and hi, everyone else. Thank you for having me here this afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here, cruising station host for Trinidad. I wish I could say it was that simple and easy for us down here in Trinidad, but on the contrary, we have not been able to get any sort of facilitation or anything, any systems in place as yet to allow cruisers to return to Trinidad. What we have done, though, as required by the government here, we have done a proposal to the Chief Medical Officer, who is the person that the government looked towards for, the science for safe reopening, and they had required last year everybody to do a proposal with all the safety protocols and so on for reopening, safe reopening, which we did, and we got the approval in August last year. And we've been using that to try and, lobby the government over here to, allow cruisers to come back. It started to roll with local Trinidad nationals coming back here on their boats. So that was a good sign. And the system worked well with the protocols that was set in place. So it was, tested and tried, no issues whatsoever. But we're still, in a situation here where cruisers are not allowed to come here as yet. We did a lot of lobbying, at the beginning of the year. We've written to the Prime Minister, we've written to the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Trade. We've done a lot of press conferences, press releases, radio and TV, lobbying, to try and get the supports and the attention of the authorities. I would say of recent, we've started to feel a sense of something is happening now, and we're getting the attention because we are now a member of, we have been a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition for Services Industries, and the new president, Mr. Mark Edgell, last week, Wednesday, the 26th, the government set up this interministerial committee made up of 5 government ministers, and they had a meeting with all business stakeholders in trying to chart a way forward for the economy, because we're in a pretty bad situation here with the economy. And strong representation was made on behalf via the president of TTCSI, and the minister asked that we submit certain documents, which is the proposal, the actual document showing that we did get the approval from the CMO, and all of that was done last week Friday, and it's we're waiting to get some feedback on it. We will continue our lobbying and pressing on to get answers. I know June the 1st is the official start of the hurricane season, and that is one of the things that is we sort of using to guide the authorities that this is a critical time in here right now, and we could lose out another entire season. We had some, like I said, we had some TV interviews, and one of them in particular was with one of the national TV, CNC3, Otto Carrington, and he did a really good story for us on the entire industry, and what we've done and what we're doing and all the safety and so on. And right after that, a couple days after, we had our board meeting at YSAT. And during the meeting, the president got a call from the Minister of Health himself, which is a big thing. And he said, the minister did indicate to our president, which is Peter Peak, that he's done all he could do in terms of giving the approval via the CMO, because CMO falls under the Ministry of Health. And he referred that we go through the Ministry of Trade, which the industry fall under. And the Minister of Trade called like about 15 minutes after. So all that is good signs. And she said she did indicate to Mr. Peak that we can use an angle. She told us what to do, and we did submit a letter to that angle. And we are just continuing to press on. We have in April this year, this last month, well, we're in June now, but April, CAFA is the Caribbean Public Health and Safety Agency, and they're the people that the government also look towards for the science, for approvals and protocols and so on for reopening. So YSAT, we got together with CAFA and we did a comprehensive training. It's called, for COVID Essential Health Guidelines for the yacht services industry, and all businesses, all the contractors and everybody, got together, and we got this training from CAFA, and we got certified. So that's just some more ammunition that we have now to present to the powers that be, that hey, we're doing all that we could possibly do for a safe reopening. Our problem here really is now there's a huge spike in numbers, and unfortunately, we've crossed the 500 mark in the amount of deaths, right? In the island, it's standing about 536 deaths, and over nearly 10,000 infections right now for a small population. So that is of a major concern, and one of the issues we have in is the situation with the problem in Venezuela, and people are leaving Venezuela to come across. So again, that little, our problem is a little bit, technical along those lines. So the numbers, there's the variant over here, we suspect due to the, that Venezuelan issue there. So the numbers are very high. We're under state of emergency right now from, 5 a.m. anymore, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And any holidays is from, if there's a holiday, there's the curfew is from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. So they're really trying to get people to stop congregating to cause that, the spike to keep going up. But we are continuing the fight over here. like I say, coming out of that meeting last week, we really hope to get some leeway. We have the support of the other business sectors. We have the Confederation of Associations, the chambers, they all kind of, supporting us. A major issue here is the lack of foreign exchange in the country, and they all need it for business. And, with that voice, we're not standing by ourselves now. We have a lot of other support from the other business sectors. So, I could go on and on, but I know we probably have limited time here. So, Joan, I'm in the process of updating my website, www.membersonlymaxtaxi.com, and I'm at about 75% of cleaning it up and putting all that I'm talking about and all that we've done in the last year. And so folks can visit the website and get a full update on everything. And if we do get any word or any updates whatsoever, Joan, you'll be the first to know. And then I'll, so we get passed on to everybody. We have, literally, we have it laid out as to, our proposal, what to do to come in here. We have the Coast Guard on our side. We've spoken to immigration, port health, all systems in place. It's just to get that final thumbs up to go ahead from the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister. And we're very optimistic that we'll get an answer soon. So that's about it along those lines. In terms of like weather reporting and so on, we do have the morning cruisers net over here at 8 o'clock every morning. And we have our very own Bruce on a vessel called Wild Matilda. So between Bruce and PR2, there's 2 yachts over here that they would usually do the morning weather updates every morning. They use Chris Parker, Noah, and different sites. And they give us the weather updates because, we enter the hurricane season now, and right now we're under a yellow alert for a system, tropical, well, not a tropical wave, but just, one of those waves coming through. So we do get the updates every morning on the Cruisers Net in Chagaramas about the weather systems. Other than that, Joan, is there anything else that you want me to update on or comment on? Or
No, I just wish that they had been able to open Trinidad earlier. I realize you've got a COVID situation going on now, which has nothing to do with the cruisers.
All right.
And it's unfortunate. It's very difficult for your businesses. For those of you listening who don't know, unfortunately, Trinidad has not been open at all for cruisers. Cruisers are now congregated in Grenada, which is kind of full. And they may be heading to other areas down the coastlines. And I will turn it over to Juanjo Boschetti. He is our host in Panama at Shelter Bay Marina. And I'm going to turn it over to Juanjo, and then we will talk to Lee Miles and to John Haley in Colombia for their inputs and insight.
Okay, thanks, John.
Hello, good evening to everybody. Juanjo here from Panama Shelter Bay Marina. Just a quick update on what's going on. Panama and the marinas are open. In fact, we have never closed operations during all the pandemic. There are some restrictions though at the moment. All vessels arriving to Panama need to do a quick COVID test upon arrival. Once that test we get the results and it's negative, you are allowed access to the country. There's an exception. All vessels coming from South America, and South America includes Galapagos and San Andres, need to do a 3-day quarantine. So they need to leave Colombia. They need to leave, for example, the country. They need to do a PCR test before departure, arrive, a PCR test, a quick antigen test upon arrival, 3-day quarantine, another test, and then they are granted access. There is an additional exception. Colombia is blocked. We cannot receive vessels from Colombia, which is kind of stupid because they just closed the borders by the water, the rivers, and land access. But if you fly from Colombia to Panama, you are okay. You just do 3-day quarantine and they give you access to the country. We have been able to receive vessels from Colombia on a case-by-case basis after this was implemented. I just need to make sure they send all the information before they depart Colombia. And that way I get the immigration authorities and the health department authorities aligned. And once the vessel arrives, we comply with the quarantine, the additional test, and we can get them access to the country. We have done 3 vessels already that way. Regarding sailing around, San Blas is officially closed. We do have people heading over to San Blas. They stay on the outskirts of San Blas. They buy lobsters, they buy fish, they buy mola, and nobody is causing them any issue. So we do have customers heading to San Blas from Panama. Bocas del Toro, once you are there, you can cruise around freely, but Bocas is kind of its own republic regarding the arrivals. They have been making people do 14-day quarantine when it's not required. They make you do different testing depending on who's in charge at the moment. So if you're heading to Bocas, you basically need to contact one of the marinas over there so they can guide you and assist you upon arrival. Regarding the weather, we are on rainy season, so it either rains or it doesn't rain. So there's no way really to determine, but it's been really, really pouring for the last couple of weeks already. We are getting likely, I would say, regarding the cruising community, we are maybe 30% down from 2019 and 2020. 2020, we had good number of arrivals until May 31st. In June, it kind of quieted down. So cruisers are probably being delayed in other ports, waiting for the rest of the ports to keep opening. We are getting a lot of vessels for hurricane season for the storage. So we should be hitting, we had an average of 70, we should be hitting 100 probably in the next 2 weeks on our storage area. We, on the other hand, we've been getting bigger mega yachts, bigger boats, longer stays, and a lot of diesel. Most of them are heading over to Costa Rica, then Galapagos, and then they do a tour to Alaska. That's the route most of them have been doing. So that market has been moving all year long, at least for us here at the marina. Once you get we receive vessels in the marina, we get you into a quarantine slip. We get the lab to come into the vessel. We do the test on the boat. It has a $75 per person cost. And we have the result within 30 minutes. And once we get the results negative, then you can come into our port captain offices and immigration offices on site, and they will clear you into the country. They're still giving the same tourist visa. There are no restricting visas upon arrival to Panama. If you fly, same deal, you do a quick antigen test. Even if you have the vaccine, it really doesn't matter. They make you do the test anyway. So we've been kind of very active trying to get people moving. But maybe probably in our case, the main restriction being French Polynesia. All the cruises are following what would happen before the hurricane season started. So I think we're gonna get kind of slower arrivals, more people coming for hurricane season. And we just keep on call, trying to provide any assistance we need to anybody heading over this way. So that's just a quick summary of what's been going on. My contact info, easiest way to get a hold of me is by WhatsApp, +507 6813 5327, and we'll be here on call to assist.
Thank you, Juanjo. I will post your information again.
Okay.
On the recording, we have some paragraphs that talk about the recording, and I'll put the information for each of you on that to remind everybody how to reach out and ask questions if they need it. We know there's vessels heading south from Dominican Republic. Denise pointed out that it's pretty full there. I know it's full in Puerto Rico. I've heard on Chris Parker, boats are heading south towards, I think some of them are going to St. Lucia. There may be some to St. Martin, although that's not really a hurricane hole. And then of course we have the issue with St. Vincent. So half of that island is kind of not usable. Beckway is open, Tobago Keys are open, but you have to follow their rules. We recommend going to Noonside to check in on the most recent information, but then to call and contact. In Beckway, it's Bagos, but I'll post that. And now I'd like to turn it and focus on Columbia. And Lee, you're up here. I muted you, so you may want to unmute. And then John Haley.
I might suggest that John has been dealing a lot with both people at Anchor
Okay.
and people in the marina. It might be, if John's willing, it might be better for him to start and let me kind of sweep up after him as a co-host.
He's laughing. Yes, go ahead, John.
Do you everybody hear me? Can people hear me?
Yes.
Good. I've switched over to my Android. It's interesting that the effect of Panama is a problem for us. With quite a few people are deciding not to come to us because they suddenly think that they won't be able to carry on and go to Panama. So there have been a few sort of cancelled arrivals, if you like, because of the issues in Panama. But it's good to hear that one has probably a way of convincing a few people in authority to help 2 or 3 people out. That's good to know. The position in Colombia, like many places, is the COVID numbers have gone up. I think as a result, partly of the festivities over the Easter period. They've been controlled, but the criteria really is occupancy of ICU beds, hospital beds, special hospital beds. If that goes above 85%, then they take action and slow things down, i.e. more lockdown measures, just to try and keep the thing from spreading or getting up beyond that 85% level. So that's the issue right now. It's borderline 85%. And so there are still lockdown measures in place, and very much the biosecurity measures remain in place with mask wearing and distancing. But there's also quite a lot of political incentive to try and ease things up. So you're seeing conversations about eliminating the need for a PCR test. And that still applies to people arriving. They still need to take a PCR test when they arrive. And really, it's not expensive. Well, relatively speaking, it costs about $60 per person when they arrive, and they should not disembark until they have the test. And that should be organized to the agent. It's always advisable to talk to an agent before you leave for Cartagena. And there are some reasonable choices. It's not the cheapest process in the world, but there's good value to be had when you're here. The feeling when you're here is actually one of normality in a way. The vaccination program is a little slow starting, but it's now accelerating. Most people above 55 years old have had their first jab. And I think they acknowledge right now that the real need is to get as many people vaccinated in as short a time as possible. That's something I think quite a lot of people felt it just wash over, and they didn't realize how important it was to get the vaccination program really running. That's what's going to allow this economy to get back to normal again. And in a way, there's a lot of political pressure to try and jumpstart that a little, maybe too early. Here we have a fantastic United Cartagena Cruises net, which I read about in the SSCA magazine about nearly 8 months ago. And it's still operating. It's still a wonderful source of good information. And if anybody wants to join that, there's no reason why they shouldn't. They can just send a WhatsApp message to me. I'll give you my WhatsApp. It's +57 486. Now I'll say that again. +57 300 486 2155. If they write a note to me, I'll invite them to join the United Cruises security net here. And they can talk impartially with several cruisers that will be happy to share their opinions. So you'll get a very neutral point of view from that group. It's a wonderful group to have here. But again, the other thing you should be concerned about in some ways is that most of the yards are pretty full. It's not a given you'll be able to haul your boat out and store it on the hard. The marinas, we still got space, but the yards, I think a lot of people opted to stick the boat in the hard and disappear back home until the thing becomes, open once again. So there is an issue of people finding a good place to store the boat on the hard if that's what they need to do. So you should really check with the yards before making a choice to come, before coming here if that's in your plans. They're very good yards. We've got a very good big yard called Federal, which has a 300-ton travel lift, good for big catamarans. And there's a very friendly little place called Manzanillo Marina, which I thoroughly recommend. But I just spoke to the people managing that marina this morning, and they're chocker. They're chocker block. No space on the hard, no space in the water. So that's a new dilemma that's presented right now. There's still quite a lot of space in the anchorage. Climate-wise, we're not affected by hurricanes. Cartagena has always been free from that, but we are affected by small activity. The rainy season has only just started right now, and comparatively little, really. We've had no small action so far, but usually in the course of the wet season, let's call it, or the winter season, better said, there are about 3 or 4 squalls, and they can be nasty ones. 40 knots coming from the south, where there's a 1.5 mile fetch. So people have to take account of that when they're anchoring. But that's really the only major hazard there is from being here. There are plenty of private boats that are heading out to the islands, enjoying the islands, going to Rosario, going to Choloan. Really, it does have the feeling of normality. It's only that people still have to be on their guard and comply with the biosecurity measures. I have to say, though, that a number of cruises that I've seen have not been that compliant or been very, thinking that they're going to be okay no matter what. And the statistics actually indicate that's probably true. I've only known one sailor who's passed away through COVID, and that was a local guy, very well known local guy, and that was almost a year ago. So far the statistics indicate sailors seem to have a inborn immunity. Don't know how, but that seems to be the case. Most, having said that, have got their jabs, and I thoroughly recommend everybody get their jabs before coming here. You can get them here through MediHealth, one of the private clinics, and even the public clinic, Daddy's. So I should just try and get on that. If you qualify, if you're the right age to qualify, you should be able to get that here. I'm going to pass over to my pal Lee Miles. I'm sure I've missed a lot of points, but anything to add, Lee?
I think that obviously you really got most of it. More than anything, I would like to underline the fact that in all the instructions, it says that you said this before, but I want to repeat it again, that now the authorities want you to have contacted an agent and to have made arrangements with an agent before you arrive in Cartagena. And there's a tendency, there's lots of agents in town. If you look on Noonsite, they must have, it's more than a half a dozen that they list there. I'm actually involved not with John Halley's Club Nautico, but with the Club de Pesca. That's clubdepescamarina.com. And the Club de Pesca finally just made an arrangement with one of the agents, Logitech, in the same way that in Santa Marta, the marina there is actually its own agent. And on our website at clubdepescamarina.com, we're trying to be very transparent, because there's a tendency to get way down in the weeds on all of the requirements of a cruising permit and the fact that the boat needs to be temporarily imported to the country. The truth is, it just costs X. And so that the amount that is charged by Logitech is on that website, and it's very, very transparent. Just so that you have a point of comparison, if you're contacting all the agents to check them, do check with clubdepescamarina.com, and at least it'll give you a base to start from.
Thoroughly agree with you, Miles. Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt on this one, but we run the Cartagena Cruises Guide, which makes the very strong point that you've got to ask around with agencies. And Maria at Logimar, which is your agent, is doing a very good job. And I also think that David at Alismar is doing a very good job. We try and stay neutral, but we're very aware of people who are not clear and maybe abusive. So I think it's on everybody to try and contact a good agent. And I thoroughly recommend Maria at Logimar, who works exclusively with the Club Desk. I would also recommend David Arroyo at Alismar. And there are probably 2 or 3 others I would recommend as well. But again, if people have any doubts, just send me a note on WhatsApp. Start talking to the people at Anchor or the marinas on the United Cruises there. You'll get straight up, absolutely neutral information there. And again, look at the Club Vessel website, look at ours as well. That's clubnautical.com. And there's a cruises guide published on that, which we try and keep up to date. And Lee has been very much part of that as well. And there's, and I try and be as clear as possible on the front page about anything that's changing in terms of arrival procedures. I'm the guy writing the stuff on that website, so if there's anything bad written, it's my fault. Yeah, sorry Lee to interrupt, but I'm thoroughly with you on that. So you please take it on from there.
No, not at all. I really would like to repeat John's point that Cartagena, in spite of the fact that there are limitations as the COVID sort of ebbs and flows, they tend to close down the bars and then open them up, and there you have to have alternate days that you can go to the store. But basically, it does feel very normal here, and the access to the islands means that you're not only trapped in the inner bay if you're staying at one of the marinas or if you're anchored in the bay, which is all right close here. The feeling of normality is really quite surprising. And I certainly hope that very soon Panama, well, it sounds like the arrangement to continue on to Panama is not a difficult one. It just requires doing it and making sure you coordinate ahead of time. And
That's
don't
correct.
again. Pardon?
Yeah, that's correct. If we do it, and to be honest, I'm not going public with that because that's an arrangement I have with the local authorities in Colombia. But if, let's say, you leave Colombia with your molecular test, you send me your SARPE, you send me passports, health questionnaire, I submit that to the agencies, and when you arrive, we do the test, 3-day quarantine, and another test, they will grant you access to the country. But it's on a case-per-case basis, and I have one more boat leaving San Andres today. So that's gonna be the first boat we have given access to Panama after this new, stupid, ridiculous law was signed and imposed on the marinas.
Well,
Look, that does sound. It again. I think that not knowing that they're not going to get bottled up here is a key issue, and so it is nice to know that we can move from here. And aside from that, truly, I think it really does feel very normal in Cartagena, and Cartagena is definitely open for business, with plenty of spaces in both of the marinas, and the possibility to anchor out right in front of them. That's it for me.
Lee and John, thank you very much. And Juanjo, I think the smartest thing to do is to tell people to stay in touch. You stay in touch, you figure out what we posted, we collaborate with Noonsite, go to Noonsite, find out what the rules are there, connect with John, with you or Lee or Juanjo or Jesse, find out on the ground what's going on before you leave one port to go to another, find out what tests you need, find out, what kind of
Requirement.
situation is, permits you need, and be sure you have it ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be critical for the movement that I see that's going to happen. There's just boats all up and down in the Northern Caribbean, all the marinas in the East Coast US, all the way up here in the Chesapeake. We are full. I don't know where these boats came from. We are full. The marina I'm in has never been full like this. Puerto Rico, Marina Pescaderia, it's full. He's never seen this before. So I think it's just check ahead and be sure that you know what you need and do all the permits and be vaccinated. I think that's going to be important. Does anyone else have any other thoughts? Or I'm looking for questions. We did have some items are in the chat with Jesse making us talking about exemptions for Trinidad for some people to come in once vaccinated. It's at least they're flying in, they aren't going on a boat. St. Vincent has been vaccinating like everyone who wants to with AstraZeneca. So the people who go there are able to vaccinate. The population is not very well vaccinated there. Oh, I see a hand from Wanjo. Go ahead.
No, regarding vaccination, they have a campaign with the AstraZeneca vaccine, and that's basically available to cruisers. If cruisers are over 60, they just open a new vaccination spot here in the airport in Colón, and we have already 6 cruisers that went over, got their first shot, and are waiting for the appointment for the second one. But if by any chance you got the first shot in another place and want to get the second one here, they won't give you an appointment. So you have to either get your both shots other place or have both shots here in Panama. At least in Colón, that program started last week, and it's been kind of starting to move over.
Very good.
Can I just butt in just for a second?
Sure.
I'm aware of some Colombians that are just heading over to the States to get a Johnson back and head back. There's some fairly cheap flights that are still continuing from here to the States. I think they're talking about roughly $300 round trip to the States. They're doing that because I think there's a new variant of the virus which is affecting younger people. I think it actually comes from Britain. So there are people saying, oh, a friend of mine who's so young has been affected by COVID. I'm going out to the States and getting my vaccination. So if you're in the States, it's probably still the easiest place to get a vaccination done. Plus, if you come here, you can easily make a good flight back home and get your vaccination done and return back here.
I see Jesse has his hand up. Jesse?
So, Joan, so just following what Chester said, cruises in Trinidad have actually been, some of them have been given the vaccination. We have the AstraZeneca, we have the Sinopharm, and one of the others here. So cruises have actually started to get a vaccination. Once you're over 60, doesn't matter your nationality, just walk with your ID and you will get the vaccination. You get your first shot and they will give you an appointment for the second shot. And those who got their first shots, they already have appointments to go and get a second shot. So I was speaking to our contact at the Ministry of Trade today just to get a little update because I know we're going to have the webinar today. And he said he asked me to highly recommend and push the fact that, get cruisers or whoever wants to come, but we're looking at the cruisers here to get fully vaccinated before coming because that seems to be the way that the government will be looking at, going forward to allowing cruisers to come over here. And I'm really optimistic now that, we have combined forces, especially with TTCSI, that we will, this can't continue forever like this. So we feel very optimistic that something is going to happen soon. But vaccination is the name of the game over here, for anybody who wants to come back.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. And I'm going to end this meeting. Be sure to look at www.ssca.org. We have a new website up. There's events scrolling on the right side. Submit your events. We have a Long Island Sound webinar, Pacific Northwest, Columbia Snake River, West Coast weather prep and seasonal, with Mike Danielson down in Banderas Bay. We're going to do a special medical kits on board in August. And every Saturday we have a virtual cruisers lunch. Everybody's invited to that. That's hosted by Annapolis, but it's anywhere you want to dial in, and we have a program. Thank you very much, Jesse. Lee, thank you. Wanjo, thank you. Denise,
Oh,
John. We will post the information and contacts. And for John, I'm going to post information on Columbia from your website again. Maybe it's time to do another article. I think that might be a good idea. So if you would like me to do an article, and we'll publish on all the different comments you've made during this webinar, I will start to write that and add you all in as participants, if that's okay. Have a great evening. Thank you very much for your participation. I really thank all of the people watching over YouTube live, or the ones that are registered and signed up. And I hope we all have a chance to visit you guys pretty soon. We'll see you at the boat show, Wanjo, in an
yeah, I'll be there.
And we'll be having conventions in the States for SSCA. Jesse, we're looking forward to your New Year's GAM. We will do Banderas Bay again.
Yes.
We're going to be starting things up. We'll look at doing something maybe in Panama if Wanjo wants to host with Shelter Bay. And
I'm
thank you
in.
so much.
Sign me up.
Signing up. We have another chat once again. Oh, thank you, Jesse. Okay.
You're welcome, Joan.
I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And we will talk to you all later.
You're a star, June.